What's up, guys? Fat Samurai Guy here with Lady Fat Blood, doing another what we call retro reviews, and today we're gonna do Mission Impossible 2, starring Tom Cruise, directed by John Woo! And if you've never seen this film and you're afraid of spoilers, go ahead and stop the video right now, go watch the film, and then come right back. Here's a quick plot synopsis.
Ethan Hunt is back, and this time he must stop the deadly virus Chimera from falling into the hands of Sean Ambrose, a former IMF agent. Deliberately created by Biosite Labs, Chimera kills anyone it contacts after 20 hours and is poised to make the company untold fortune with the sale of its only cure, Bellerophon. Hunt is ordered to enlist the help of Master Thief Naya under the false pretense that she can help Ethan and his team steal the virus. Unknown to Hunt, Naya was once romantically linked to Ambrose and is actually intended to be used as a pawn to get close to him. Ambrose, who has already stolen the only samples of Bellerophon, has struck a deal with the president of Biosite Labs, which will allow Ambrose to make billions once Chimera is unleashed on the world.
Alright, so now when I saw this movie years ago when it was released in theater, I was disappointed. And it was weird because I was disappointed with the first movie, but for different reasons. Same thing. I saw the trailers to both films. I thought they both were going to be the greatest action movies of all time, especially me being a huge John Woo buff. And I was disappointed with both of them. The first one, I didn't understand it until years later, and then I ended up liking it. This one, man, I mean, I was disappointed because you literally had to wait an hour. An hour had to go by. In a John Woo film, people, an hour had to go by before there was like our first action sequence.
What? Train wreck! Train wreck. Train wreck. And I knew going into this movie, I knew what to expect. You know, I'd heard that time has not been kind to this film, and it has received over the years mixed to okay reviews. And I thought, okay, well, I'll keep that in mind, and I'll just go in and just not expect too much. But keeping in mind also that it's a John Woo film, and I've seen a handful of John Woo films, and I'm fine with what he's got out there that I've seen. I haven't seen everything, but damn, you know, this movie had production issues, and it shows. This movie originally had a roughly 3.5-hour cut. And that was John Woo's original cut, and the studio was like, no, nope. And it chopped it down to just over 2 hours, and so much of this film leaves you scratching your head going, wait a minute!
And I would actually, just out of curiosity, I mean, 3.5 hours is way too long, but out of curiosity, I would actually like to see that cut and those deleted scenes or something. You never know. It may have made the movie a little bit more interesting. There may have been more action in the film. We'll never know because a director's cut was never released. And another thing to point out was that the original cut of the film was actually rated R. And you can really tell that this movie was chopped down to PG-13. When Tom Cruise shoots a few people, the camera angles are off a little bit. It's very strange. When we watched it the other day, there were two blatant neck cracks. I mean, Tom Cruise goes blah, and then wraps his leg around another person and goes blah, and there's no sound. It's just, and it felt weird. You know, it felt weird.
It was that the first one was the first 5 minutes or so in the film.
Yeah.
And even I noticed that. I'm like,
yeah, and then after us doing our research, we found out that it was supposed to be R-rated.
It's John Woo. Of course it was supposed to be rated R. I get it. It's a summer blockbuster, and they wanted to get butts in the seats. Even back in 2000, they were still doing it.
So here's a little bit of an example of what I'm usually used to when I watch a John Woo film. Check this out. You see what I'm saying? 75 total body count, and the movie isn't even over yet. And, believe it or not, through all that mindless carnage and huge stack of body count, there was actually a good story there. There was actually good acting and performances in that movie, even though everything else was over the top.
No.
But that's John Woo in his prime.
So the first 5 minutes are devoted to a very brief plot setup, which is quickly ditched in order to reintroduce Ethan pointlessly climbing a mountain just to make him look cool. And I even notated this in my head. I'm like, okay, is this some kind of character development that they're setting up, that he loves to live dangerously or this or that? Well, it's not really the Ethan that we were shown in the first film, but honestly, I've even said the character development wasn't really there in the first film. We didn't really need it, but okay, suddenly he's just climbing a mountain. Why not? Great opening shot,
He
right?
was on vacation, okay?
We get it reintroduced to him. And then all of a sudden we jump and he's hooking up with Naya. And then it takes another at least 35 to 40 minutes to get back to the plot. And we literally witness Ethan meet Naya in the span of 10 minutes. 10 minutes!
10 minutes.
Boom! They've shagged. And suddenly we're expected to believe that they both have these sudden serious feelings for each
They're
other.
in love. Come on.
And then through very brief exposition, we are told, of course, that Ambrose was an IMF agent, and later we find out that he and Naya were an item.
Because all action movies need love triangles.
So in the very short span of the very, very beginning of the film, so, okay, we're told he's an IMF agent. We're told that they had a relationship together. And then we're shown 5 minutes of forced sexual tension that I don't buy for a second between Ethan and Naya. And a love story as legit as Bella and Edward.
Just think how much more awesome and cooler this film would have been if they showed a history and a past.
Exactly.
With Hunt and Ambrose, man. Like, they were rivals or they were best friends.
Instead, we get a throwaway line of, oh, well, didn't he double for you a couple of times? Yes, but I never really trusted him.
That was it. That was it.
Thanks,
And
movie.
just think how much more of an emotional impact the movie would have had if they had showed a brief history between Hunt and Naya. Just think about that. They were together for several years, or they were together, and then later on in the movie, when stuff goes down, you actually feel for the character.
I just remembered something from the first movie. What's her tits? Mr. Phelps's wife.
Yeah.
There was an opening scene where she gets knocked out or something, and
She was passed out.
And Ethan comes up and he's like cradling her head in his hand. You got more believability that he gave a shit about that woman than you get in all the forced tension and all the forced bad dialogue that we got fed in Mission Impossible
But they
2.
fucked. So they must be in love.
I understand that there were significant cuts to the film, and it shows, and it had a huge impact on the overall story, so maybe it's not entirely fair to judge it based on the terrible cut. But that's just it. Theatrically, we were given a terrible cut of a film that, when you really, really dissect it, it just doesn't make sense. Alright, so the film has been excused by many as a mindless action flick. Okay. And maybe if this didn't have the Mission Impossible title, I might not have minded it so much. However, the first film was so suspenseful and so well told, and the character motivations were clear, and it was fun watching Hunt trying to figure out what the hell was going on around him. This movie felt like John Woo's ode to James Bond with an American production company's fingers all in the pot. Translation, a beautiful and irritating mess.
But the whole movie is not filled with bad. There are good points to the film. One of it being John Woo's amazing camera work and cinematography. The movie just looks fantastic. I mean, maybe a little bit too good for the Mission Impossible franchise in comparison to the first film. And when we finally did get to action, the action in the movie was good. I mean, in comparison to the first film, the action, there was a lot more action. With John Woo at the helm, it was going to be a lot more over the top, bigger, grander, insane. You gotta have the classic John Woo dubs, the trademark dubs.
And of course, pigeons!
This is probably the first film where Tom Cruise really went crazy with stunt work and doing his own stunts.
And he did have doubles, but what did they estimate, like 80%?
Yeah, 80% was all him. I mean, I remember when the film came out on TV, there was a making of special, and John Woo had an interview on there, and he said the whole movie felt like he was going to have a heart attack because he was so scared that Tom Cruise was going to hurt himself, but no, Tom did great. And Tom, not being known as a martial artist, handled the fight choreography very well also. I mean, even the fight at the end on the sand when he fought Ambrose, it's a pretty good little beat down there. And the crazy thing was, I remember in the theater, there's one shot where Ambrose comes at Tom, at Ethan Hunt, and the camera has a close-up on the knife, and it follows the knife all the way down to Tom on the ground of the sand on the beach, and it's like one shot, like, and the knife is like literally stops right here at Tom Cruise's eye, and it's insane. I mean, I remember everybody in the theater were like, "Oh, I remember that. That was awesome. That was awesome." And then we come doing our research, we come to find out that's a real knife. People,
and that was,
Tom, you're nuts. You're insane.
That was actually his insistence.
Yes.
And he insisted that
he's crazy.
That Doug Ray Scott be the one to actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know how bad that could have went, but it was awesome.
And another bright spot is Hans Zimmer's score, Hans' pre-Dark Knight trilogy score. Now, I have nothing against the Dark Knight trilogy.
Great score.
But you have to admit it ushered in a very dark era for soundtracks and movie scoring, in that a lot of clones came out of the woodwork, and now thanks to Inception we have a lot of
and every movie trailer, duh.
Yes. And a lot of people might not remember that before The Dark Knight, which again, I love the music. I love the music. And a lot of people might have forgotten that before The Dark Knight, which I know he co-wrote with James Newton Howard, he did The Lion King. Hans Zimmer, he has this array of abilities in his scoring, but now
the score.
Yeah, now he's known for...
Not be prepared. Not Hakuna Matata. The score of the film.
Actual score, and a lot of people might not realize that he is a good composer. The soundtrack in this film, it's dramatic, it's exotic, it's exciting, and a particularly fantastic track is Injection, where it coincides with the scene where Naya injects herself with the Chimera to buy Ethan time to escape and basically to stop Ambrose from just outright killing her once he's gotten the virus.
And even though the script was very weak and the writing and editing and was very, not up to par, the performances were solid. Tom Cruise acted well, Thandie Newton was good, and
Doug Ray Scott. But the truly bright spot about this film is Doug Ray Scott got held back for additional scenes, and Mr. Scott was tapped to play a certain superhero character in an upstart, little well-known among the nerd community, but soon to be introduced to mainstream Hollywood audiences, and that character was little fella by the name of Wolverine.
Yeah. Ouch.
Damn it!
Yeah, damn it. But hey, we got Hugh Jackman, so.
So on top of the poor character development, the quick exposition, the grinding the movie to a halt for the sake of a phony forced love story, we have pointless slow-mo! in love now.
I'm not gonna lose you.
And multiple, haha, it's not me, it's you. Haha, I'm not him, I'm her. Haha, mask here, mask there. All right, yes, no. Do you really think I bought for 2 seconds, 2 milliseconds, that was Tom Cruise getting shot at the end of the film? Yeah, I really bought that, guys, thanks. And the sunglasses.
Yes.
The dramatic sunglasses.
And in the beginning of the film, the sunglasses he wears actually did something.
They showed him his mission, they showed him his targets and all that.
Mission, targets, throw it away or it's going to blow up. So, at the end of the movie, when he's running away out of the compound, getting shot at, okay, he lays down, shoots the guy, and out of nowhere, he pulls out sunglasses and puts them on and starts shooting and runs away, and then he hops on the bike and all. That's good stuff. The only problem, though, is that it was regular sunglasses. So it's like, oh, they didn't do anything. So I'm in the middle of a gunfight. I'm going to stop, reach in, and take out some sunglasses and, be cool with it.
Because now I look cool.
Hey, the pizza rolls are ready.
Cool. So the post-production difficulties obviously led to a film that had so many plot holes. I found this movie more difficult to follow than many people claim to have found the first film. Intrigue and interest were replaced with slick and, for my taste, heartless action. And while by no means the worst thing I've ever seen.
No.
I lament the wasted potential and squandering of a proven and superior director we had in John Woo, who had, at that point, more than enough, had proven his capability of merging great story, characters, and action. 2.9! Doves!
And for me, even though it took forever to finally get to the action in a John Woo film, the action that's there is enjoyable. There is some cool stuff there. Overly stylized, probably a little bit too much for a Mission Impossible franchise. You notice the 2 films after that didn't have stylized action that over the top.
Which I have yet to watch.
Soon. But there is some enjoyment there, especially if you're just going in and you don't really care about the plot. You don't really care about the forced romance. If you don't care.
If you didn't like the first one.
You're a movie goer, not a movie lover. And you just say, you know what, I'm bored, I'm going to just go to the movies and go see this movie, you will like it, okay? There's enough action at the end that will keep you entertained, and there's some good parts in the film. Like I said, the movie's not all bad. There is good stuff there. And since the movie's not all bad, I'm going to give Mission Impossible 2 a 3.2 out of 5 Ninja Stars. Alright, that's it for today's episode of Retro Reviews. You think we were a little bit too hard on the film and you actually love it and you think it's your favorite in the franchise, we would really like to know. Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time with Mission Impossible 3.
And then we don't see her for 30 minutes. She disappears out of sight, out of mind from the film for 30 minutes, only for us to meet up with her again in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere. Hell of an elaborate distraction, all for the sake of biding some time to knock someone out. And another thing,
It's okay. It's alright.
No! I have every right to ramble about a 15-year-old movie that was a huge hit when it came out. And,
It was awesome, and now you're even more awesome to the point that it's a real knife. Sorry. And another thing that we really can't hate on is the acting. The performances are well, solid. The performances were good. Tom Cruise's acting was good. Thandie Newton was good. Even
DeGray Scott.
Yeah, was good. But
that's a big but.
And if you enjoyed this video, click on that like, subscribe, and share button. And we'll see you next time for Mission Impossible.
We're in love now.
I'm not gonna lose you.
We're in love now.
I'm not gonna lose you.